What's poppin', y'all? Polo G posted up a couple of different streams, and yeah, people had some comments to say on this particular clip. One of them being Plaqueboymax, who just died laughing and couldn't even take it seriously. So I'm gonna play you guys that clip of Plaqueboymax reacting first, and then we're gonna get a little bit into the topic of rappers doing the streaming.
If they got another streaming university coming up, I'll probably come to that shit so I can get some game for. I ain't gonna lie. Probably hit on my boy Cassie if he could manage me. I could be like a Clover.
Nah, this nigga fried. He's dead trolling. He's trolling.
Clover or part of AMP. I ain't gonna lie.
He's trolling. He's laughing. He's trolling. He's trapping. He literally started laughing. He's trolling, man. Streamer U 2026. Y'all want to go to Streamer U? Should we apply? Be a professor or something? Huh. Ice Spice was spotted on Brooklyn Nets.
So here, Plaqueboymax can't even take it seriously. I mean, he just sounds like he's dying laughing. Now, with Polo G, this is like a 50-50 type of thing. Because Polo G, and one of the responses to this was this tweet saying, rappers that fell off are so funny because when they were on top, they didn't help anyone. And this guy, 4 million views, 76,000 likes. Now, when it comes to Polo G in particular, I disagree with this. When it comes to Kai Cenat as well, because if we look at Polo G, he has consistently been a collaborator with content creators since 2018-19. If we remember early on, he was doing his thing with Zeus and B-Lou. They would react to his music. He would show up on their reaction videos. They would hang out, and they built a good rapport and a relationship. But I think they were easier. Like Zeus and B-Lou, I feel like are the easiest play to get. Well, they weren't streamers at the time, but if you want a rapper that's not going to feel out of place, then you throw them on Zeus and B-Lou because they've got range. They can hang out and do well with a bunch of different types of people. And when you look at Polo G, he was also on stream with Adin Ross. Like one of the earliest viral moments that Adin Ross had of him doing the weird, gay stuff that he was doing at the time was when Zeus and B-Lou brought Adin Ross to the studio and they portrayed him as this up-and-coming rapper to Polo G because they were hanging out with Polo G that day. And then he starts rapping and Polo G is looking at him like, yo, what the hell is going on here? And this was before clipping was even really a thing, but that spread like crazy. This is 2020 maybe. I don't even think this was 2021. So that was a really, really funny moment. There was back and forth between them. But Polo G has always been a supporter of Kai Cenat, and he would appear on Kai Cenat YouTube videos, actually. When Kai Cenat had those YouTube videos, A Boogie and Polo G were one of the early people that linked up with him on there. And you got to think, Polo G blew up really young, and he blew up in the era that grew up on YouTube to a degree, towards his later teen years. So he's been a supporter for a long time of Kai Cenat. So to say that, oh, nah, he never put anyone on, well, I mean, what do you mean by put somebody on? He collaborated with these guys and it was mutually beneficial. Now, for him to, what is him putting somebody on? Him taking another rapper and trying to put him on? Well, he tried to do that with his own brother and give him a career, Trench Baby, and that guy just completely threw that in the dirt and started robbing people off of Polo G's name. So we got that. And also, Polo G's gotten in really good health. I don't think people give him enough credit for that. This guy got into really good shape. And while he dropped an album last year, and I think this year he dropped, part of why he was streaming was because he dropped a deluxe, I guess, if you want to call it that, a new edition. But another rapper replied, or he didn't reply to this, but I believe he alluded to this because this was the same day that this was going on. And this is a rapper by the name of Anonymous. I've been following this guy for 6 years now, and he's been quite a consistent rapper. He's a good rapper. If you haven't listened to him, you should check out his music. But he would tweet out and say, the amount of rappers that want to be streamers now should just show y'all that these guys never had a passion for the art. They just crave the attention and money. And I think that two things can be true. Like, for example, 21 Savage, I don't know if the interviews are still out there, but early on, he first was talking about like, yeah, I started rapping because I wanted money. And then I think the passion for the art develops after that, but it's like, it's a survival thing. So if you know, and like if the most accessible thing to you is to rap, and it's going to get you out of survival mode, whether that is avoiding prison or because you want to take lucrative opportunities, right? And it's going to make you money, then that's going to be, the most enticing part, and you're going to go after it. But he is correct in that a lot of streamers or a lot of rappers don't like that they're not the cool guys anymore. So they did enjoy a lot of the attention, whereas some rappers are really happy with just the money and the art, or just the art first, then the money. I feel like this is a trifecta, and how this balances is usually how like the rapper's career is going. Like 21 Savage, I don't think he cared much about the attention because you don't really see 21 Savage go and tour that often unless he has to. When for many years he didn't really tour. Whereas a person like Travis Scott, you could tell he really loves the attention, where like he really loves the live show energy. Ye, he really loves the attention. And of course, they're very focused on their art too. Like they take a lot of time to put out an album. But now I think rappers are looking at it like, yo, this thing is, I'm on not a dying ship, but my art is also being devalued commercially. Like there's so much more music coming out. There are so many more artists. The average, like the music, to make music decent enough sounding is so much easier. So like the competition is way higher and it's being rewarded a lot less than it was. So there was almost like this sweet spot, I would say, where it was the best time to be an artist or rapper and make a lot of money out of it. And it wasn't as competitive. And I think that sweet spot peaked at 2017. It was probably between 2015 and 2017-18. Whenever we got the worst artists you could possibly imagine, that was for sure the peak. Now we're really only getting like people that have consistently lasted over at least 2.5 to 3 years plus. They've been solid artists. Like you may not like their music, but they've consistently released stuff that you can be like, okay, I understand why people are listening to this over and over. Like for example, like an NLE Choppa, like regardless of what people say about him, like this guy's got some range. Like he can rap, he did that like aggressive stuff in the beginning with the shot of flow. He's developed himself and he's had hits over years. Like years would span. You would have a new hit, you would have a dance hit. But circling back to streamers and Polo G, I think a lot of streaming and rappers kind of wanting to get into it like a Polo G, where it's not that they're appearing on streams, where it's they want to stream themselves. A Trippie Redd is another example of this, who's booted up a good amount of streams, although he doesn't really like interact much. He's just playing games. Is a lot of these guys are lonely and these streamers look like they're having fun. Because think about it, like a Trippie Redd, right? Like this guy's got a gigantic black house, which is so cool. That's one of the coolest things that like Trippie Redd's black house and ski masks, Millennium Puzzle chain. Those got to be like top 5 coolest items if you want to call a house an item. But those are two of some of the coolest things that have happened in hip hop or that are owned by rappers. But if you look at these guys, right, in particular like a Polo G and a Trippie Redd, what are they doing? They're making music and they're already really, 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 really rich. And they're probably playing video games on their own and they're just by themselves or maybe with like a homie of theirs. So when they see a group like a Kai Cenat's group or something like that, they're like, man, these guys look like they're having so much fun. I wish we could do this. And it probably throws them back to the early days of their career where they were like, man, I remember like when we was first getting on and I was living with a bunch of people. Like if you've watched the Lil Peep documentary on Netflix, you could see like the iterations that this guy went of living situations. Like first they had that gigantic house with like 20 different artists living in there. And then he moved, I think he had an apartment in downtown LA or like next to Skid Row. And he had a bunch of random people living with him there too. Well, not random people, but people that were friends with him, maybe some producers, maybe some engineers. And you look back on that time fondly once you've gotten out of it, of course, because at that time they're struggling. But with streamers, they're not struggling. So it's like all these guys are getting money together. They're having fun together. And I think Polo G probably kind of looks at it, they're like, damn, man, I wish I could be having some fun too. Meanwhile, I'm just here and you're like, what is he going to hang out with chicks? Like he's been hanging out with girls for like how many years? Like that's got to get old. You always want to I have like some time with the boys. And I think that's the closest thing that a rapper can do without somebody like wanting something from them. Because that's also another thing that rappers got to deal with, like a Trippie Redd, for instance, or a Polo G in this case. Whereas like anytime you're going to hang out with somebody, you find out that the person's a rapper or a producer or in the music industry, you're like, okay, here we go. So I think it's like 50-50 with Polo G. But I also think there is this equal and opposite force, which is the quote unquote cool factor, if you want to call it that, or the aura loss that would happen from them being at, like, can you imagine if Polo G at a streamer university? He would have to just like show up as like for a day or something like that, but he can't show up too much. So there's this performance and this lack of freedom that you have with your image as a rapper. And that makes it difficult to like show all the sides of your personality. So I really don't envy Polo G for that situation. And I think with Plaqueboymax, he probably looks at Polo G's success musically and has admiration for that. And he's like, man, if I had that type of musical success and I was in his position, I wouldn't be tripping about streaming. I'd be trolling. But it's because he doesn't have that yet. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see you on the next one.